Okay, picture this. A highly advanced, intelligent civilization that is literally reaching for the stars. Sounds familiar, right? But what if I told you this civilization doesn't have a single pair of hands among them? What if they live entirely underwater and over their entire history, they have never once discovered fire? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are diving into a completely mind-bending sci-fi concept from the resonance of the deep. We're going to be exploring a scientifically grounded blueprint for an aquatic space program, one built from the ground up by dolphins and whales.
It is a totally impossible problem, but man, it hooks you immediately. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. How on Earth, or rather in the ocean, does a dolphin build a spaceship? Or really, how do they build anything at all? They are trapped in these streamlined bodies, they have no opposable thumbs, and obviously trying to light a fire underwater is physically impossible. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how an aquatic civilization completely bypasses our conventional technology tree to reach the stars, relying purely on the biology and the physics of the deep ocean. If you look at the human path to technology, it's pretty much all built on the same foundations: apes striking flint, discovering fire, smelting ore, and forging metal. But the cetacean path, it is a completely different ballgame. Their technology isn't some monument of iron and smoke. Instead, it's this incredibly sophisticated mastery of acoustics, fluid dynamics, and biological symbiosis. They don't build their machines, they actually grow them.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, Evolution Without Hands or Fire.
Right off the bat, to overcome the whole not having hands issue, they employ the ultimate biological hack. Meet Sully K, a senior cetacean architect, and Taco, her octopoid engineer. Honestly, it's like the ultimate evolutionary buddy cop duo. The dolphins provide the massive brains, the deep long-term memory, and these insanely complex acoustic blueprints. Meanwhile, the octopuses step up to provide unparalleled 8-armed dexterity. Sully K actually uses modulated low-frequency hums to transmit procedural commands directly into Taco's nervous system. She is quite literally turning his tentacles into an extension of her own mind.
And since fire is off the table, they have to skip the Iron Age altogether. They don't melt ore down, they farm it. Through a process called directed biomineralization, they actually cultivate iron-oxidizing bacteria and breed specialized mollusks to deposit heavy metals exactly where they need them to go. Instead of using steel, they co-weave high-tensile sheath silk with deep-sea chitin. And instead of hot industrial glass factories, they utilize the natural silicate deposition of deep-water glass sponges. What we're looking at here is a completely green zero-combustion industrial revolution.
Which brings us right to Section 2, Powering the Deep Metropolis. Think about it. If you can't burn fossil fuels, how on earth do you power a massive deep-sea metropolis? Well, you tap into the infinite mechanical energy of the ocean itself. They construct these colossal current siphons out of high-tensile kelp silk. As the powerful deep ocean currents push through these funnels, they vibrate biopolymer membranes. Those vibrating membranes then compress massive arrays of piezoelectric quartz crystals. Now, because quartz naturally generates electricity when it's put under physical stress, this whole system creates a steady, reliable flow of bioelectricity without burning a single drop of oil. It's genius.
But then you might be wondering, how do they forge or cut those super tough materials? Enter the sonic cavitation torch. Guys, this is basically a blowtorch mounted right on the dolphin's snout. It projects intersecting ultra-high-frequency sound waves to create microscopic bubbles. When those tiny bubbles inevitably collapse, it triggers a real-world physics phenomenon called sonoluminescence, generating localized temperatures of several thousand Kelvin. They are literally boiling water and slicing through ultra-tough sponge glass using nothing but highly focused sound.
Moving right along to Section 3, the Liquid Archive.
Now, keeping records is tricky down there. Paper just dissolves in water, and carving into stone doesn't give you nearly enough data density for an advanced civilization. So they invented acoustic holography. They essentially write their books using echo lattices, which are these synthetic opal glass spheres filled with lipid gel and silica. A cetacean scribe will project a complex multitonal acoustic signature into the gel, organizing that silica into 3D patterns locked in place by enzymes. To read it, a dolphin just sends a quick sonar ping into the sphere, and the echo bounces back, recreating a highly detailed 3D hologram directly in their mind. It is so beautifully elegant.
And that leads us to the grand finale, Section 4, the Cetacean Space Odyssey.
For millennia, these creatures viewed the surface of the water, what they call the membrane, as the absolute limit of existence. To look at the stars from underwater without it all getting blurry, they float massive, perfectly spherical lenses made of ultra-pure water right on the ocean's surface. Deep-sea squid retinas inside these telescopes capture that starlight, convert it into microelectrical signals, and then translate those into acoustic frequencies. Their astronomers are literally hearing the light of distant suns. That's how they realized the sky above wasn't some toxic void, but actually a gateway.
Which sets up this absolute mic drop of a quote from our architect, Soli K, speaking to the Council of the Deep. She says, "We do not carry the ocean, we carry its pressure." This is a huge paradigm shift for them. See, if a dolphin were to just fly up into our thin atmosphere without the buoyant support of water, its massive internal organs would literally be crushed under its own skeletal weight. So they have to engineer a way to survive the harsh gravity of the dry world.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's flip our human logic completely upside down. Think about our human submarines. We design them with incredibly strong hulls specifically to keep the crushing ocean pressure out. The cetacean equivalent, a ship called the Slick Breaker, is the exact opposite. Grown from carbon nanotube reinforced chitin, its hull is designed to keep the immense, life-saving ocean pressure in. The entire interior of their spacecraft is totally flooded with oxygenated saline water. This keeps the crew completely weightless and protected from the brutal G-forces of acceleration.
But then we hit another roadblock. How do you fly in the air where flippers have zero traction? Taco the octopus is actually the one managing their mind-blowing organic hybrid propulsion system. For the initial liftoff, they rely on a hydrojet lift powered by massive muscle-mimicking pistons. Then, to get that high-altitude flight, they harvest concentrated methane gas from deep-sea microbes and mix it with a catalyst made from the blood of hydrothermal vent worms. This triggers a violent, explosive, but non-combustive gas expansion against a high-tensile diaphragm. It basically forces water out the back of the ship at supersonic speeds.
Just picture this launch sequence for a moment. It is purely dynamic energy. Step 1. Taco's 8 arms are fluidly working the controls, opening the intake valves. Step 2. That methanogenic fuel reacts violently with the vent worm catalyst. Step 3. The high-pressure jets fire, expelling a massive column of water with this bone-rattling, low-frequency roar that vibrates the entire ocean. And finally, Step 4. The slick breaker violently shatters that silver ceiling of the ocean, breaching straight into the atmosphere.
Imagine being inside that flooded cabin. Looking out through their biomineralized glass viewport, the chaotic refraction of the surface completely vanishes, replaced by this infinite sapphire expanse. Even in the middle of the daytime sky, pristine stars begin to pierce through the blue. For the very first time in 3 billion years of planetary history, an aquatic creature is looking out upon the dry world from a flying pocket of their own ocean.
And that whole journey leaves us with this final, thrilling question to chew on. If an intelligence can genuinely reach the heavens, using just acoustics, fluid dynamics, and symbiosis, without ever discovering fire or forging a single piece of iron, what other types of civilizations might be hiding out there in the dark, icy oceans of the universe? It totally shatters our terrestrial bias, doesn't it?
Please like and subscribe.